And you should have the ability to share once I make the change. Okay.
Got it. And is there, did you let people in yet? I was gonna say, is there any particular time frame? I wasn't sure. I mean, I just did it's probably not gonna be like extremely long.
Yeah, don't do a long one. I don't think the long one's necessary.
Okay. All right. And
I think more engaging, get to know them, the goal is for them for us to send you some customers out of this group. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna let them in now. So let's see.
Yeah.
And I will continue letting people in as we go along after I introduce you. Okay. So I'll manage those. Don't worry about those. Good afternoon. My name is Mark, and I'm here today. I want to welcome you to Gov School. This is a series that we offer at Gov Directions to, help you learn to win government contracts. And we have a number of different sessions throughout the month, and here we are near the end of this month, of course. And we have with us today Danielle Miller, who is one of our favorite guest subject matter experts who comes to us to give her understanding of the market space itself. And with that said, I'm letting everybody in here. I'm gonna give you some basic rules as I continue. We've got a number of people in the waiting room, so just give us a few minutes to get everybody active, and we can, I'll turn it over to Danielle, just a few more minutes here. More seconds, okay. First of all, this is going to be a recorded version today, okay? So please maintain your privacy. If you do ask a question, it will be recorded. The chat sessions are not, though. And I am going to go ahead and open up a chat box for you. And so you can ask your questions here. And we prefer that you do those to us on staff or to everyone when you ask, as opposed to individuals. Our staff will not ask you questions directly. So if someone is asking you questions, please let us know for your own privacy reasons. But here is the chat box. You can also, we want to make this interactive for you to, you can raise your hand, technically speaking, and we'll call on you with questions and as we go along here. So a couple more people in the waiting room. Here we go. So once again, my name is Mark. I'm with Gov Directions, one of the founders here. And we want to welcome you here. And today we have with us Danielle Miller. She is a graduate of the University of Miami, Coral Gables, Florida, with a bachelor's in English. And she is an entrepreneur, of course, and she founded the ESS Group, Inc., which is initially set up as a proposal writing firm. After discovering there was a bigger need for small businesses to learn and understand government contracting, she subsequently expanded her services to include business development, capture management, proposal management, contracts, management itself, leadership development, certification services, networking and marketing services, business coaching, and capability statements. So she really works with other companies to help you grow. She has managed a variety of projects and created a successful business development process for multi-million-dollar firms nationwide. She has worked directly with a variety of government agencies for program management and procurement and acquisition services. And now she offers her experience and knowledge to small businesses in helping them develop their government contracting services through mentoring programs and online courses to ultimately reach and help more businesses in that process. She brings over 13 years of management and leadership experience, and she has a passion within her company as a goal to help small businesses succeed in government contracting. Excuse me there. And so what I will do today is welcome Danielle. She is, once again, I said this earlier, she is, I think she's my favorite speaker that comes with us. She's always ready to go, and we really appreciate that. So I'm going to turn over the screen to Danielle, and she's going to take it, and I'll try to manage the technical things behind the scene here. So we thank you for joining us. Danielle, you ready? Here we go. This one second here. I'll stop the share. There you go. So you should have access now. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. And I'll share my screen in just a second. Thank you so much, Mark. You always give such a good introduction. So thank you. I appreciate it. And I always love speaking with Gov Directions. So today, I know we wanted to focus on something a little bit different, which was, mentorship and the importance of having a mentor. And Mark and I talked about this because there's so many tools out there that are available to us for government contractors. There's so many tools and programs and platforms to access opportunities. But at the end of the day, if we don't really know what to do with these opportunities, or if we don't really know strategically how to, grow our companies, it can be a roadblock. It can be very frustrating to have access to, it seems like, a wealth of knowledge and not know what to do with it. So we pretty much had just a very short conversation about maybe it's important to discuss mentorship and really guiding people on how to use these tools and ultimately how to be successful, respond successfully, and really understand how to give your company, even if, especially if you're a small business, access to bigger opportunities. So with that being said, again, pleasure to be here. And I'm going to share my screen just to kind of give you an idea of how I like to do things. I will have a presentation, but please feel free to ask questions. The reason why we do the webinars, or at least when I'm on the call with Mark and we do webinars, is we want to make sure that you get the information that you need. So I may have some things that I'm talking about, but if you have any questions, please, by all means, put it in the chat, and we may save it for the end of the presentation, but I still want to make sure I can answer all your questions. Okay. Give me just a second here. Okay. Hopefully everyone can see my screen. Can everyone see my screen? Okay, perfect.
We can. Everybody can see it. Should be fine.
Okay. All right, so today, again, talking about mentorship, specifically in the realm of government contracting, with an assumption that most on this call are interested in government contracting or are currently getting contracts with the government contracting. I'll start off by saying I had a phenomenal mentor when I first started out. Mark has already told you a little bit about myself. When I graduated from the University of Miami, I graduated with an English and journalism major. So, there wasn't many opportunities that at least I was interested in with an English degree. It was either be a teacher, professor, or go work for the news station, but neither one of those were, careers I really wanted. I just know I had a passion for writing and being creative. So I ended up, in the banking industry. That was one of my first jobs, working for MBNA at 17. So naturally, I went back into banking. And so while I was a personal banker, at that time, it was PNC, I met with a lot of government contractors, and they were depositing some really large checks. So, of course, being a personal banker, you're building rapport, you want to know, okay, what is this? And, how can I be a part of it? So to make a long story short, found out there was a huge need for proposal writers. And I went back to school to get educated on how to properly write proposals. And from there, I started my business, and my first client, very, very first client, won a $250,000 contract off of that proposal that was written. So it all sounds good. It sounds like I just went back to school and bam, I have a successful business. No, I had a great mentor who really helped break down what a lot of terms meant. Now, of course, I had a bit of an advantage because I do have quite a few family members that are government contractors or retired from government contracting, been a part of the 8A program. So I was already familiar with it, but I just never really knew much about it to start a business. But however, with a mentor, put me eons ahead of my competition as far as making the right connections, being new to the industry and introducing me to clients that maybe I would never have been able to meet without the help of my mentor, and just learning from, them. Actually, I had two mentors really, and learning from them and their mistakes and actually seeing some of the things that they were going through to say, okay, now I know what not to do as well. So I knew what to do and what not to do. So in government contracting, to bring it back all in, it can be very complex, but it doesn't have to be that complex. And so we'll go into a little bit more details about how to simplify that. Well, Mark gave a great introduction, so I don't think I need to talk about myself any further. But just to let you know, the only thing that has changed from that introduction is that our company now has two departments. So we do have a mentorship portion of it, but as well, we do offer our services to the government. And we are currently now international. So we have 5 contracts here nationwide. And we now have a contract that we are launching in November in Johannesburg. And we have another one coming up in Senegal. So pretty exciting stuff with the growth that has happened this year. So today, what are we going to talk about again? Just a real quick recap, just to let you know what we'll be discussing. What is a mentor? What are the benefits of a mentor? What should you look for in a mentor? And the difference between having one and not having one, and maybe some testimonials at the end of people who were able to utilize a mentor in business specifically. So what is a mentor? By definition, so I took 2, Wikipedia and I took Oxford Dictionary. So a mentor is someone, or mentorship, I should say, is the influence, guidance, or direction given by a mentor. In an organizational setting, a mentor influences the personal and professional growth of a mentee. Okay, and for the Oxford Dictionary, move this out of the way, theirs is an experienced and trusted advisor. Okay, so that is what a mentor is, hindsight, or by definition. Let's see if I can get this out of my way. Okay. Also, a mentor can be a consultant or a business coach. But most times and they're in the form of a consultant or a business coach, they still have a very focused and targeted area that they are approaching with their mentee. So they really have a focus and target area that they are approaching with that particular person. So what is the difference between a coach and a mentor? So mentorship and coaching. I actually get asked that question a lot. Again, we do have a mentorship program, and people tend to come to me thinking that it's going to be a structured program with curriculum and so forth. So it's a little bit different from coaching. So the difference between coaching and mentoring is that mentoring is a softer approach and it's more relationship focused a form of guidance, opposed to coaching, which is a structured training approach. With mentoring, the mentee typically steers the relationship to ensure that they're getting what they need and the knowledge that they need to grow. So in that instance, for example, someone who is interested in mentorship, they know that they need growth, or they know that they need guidance in a particular area. They want to build a long-term relationship, with someone who has the expertise in that area and who does have a mutual interest in their growth. So they will go to a mentor for that particular knowledge, opposed to someone who's going for more of a coaching route. It's more of a short-term structure, more curriculum-based or structure-based to get them from point A to point B. This is my end goal result. How can going through this particular program get me from point A to point B? So it's a different type of relationship. So even though you can still build a really good relationship with a coach, mentoring really is honed around, building that relationship for that long-term gain and unbiased opinion and mutually rewarding. So what are the benefits of mentorship? Now, we're going to talk about mentorship in 2 different forms. We're going to talk about it in the sense of personal as well as business. And keep in mind, personal and business go hand in hand. You have to be whole personally to be able to work for your business, okay? So think about it, the way you structure your personal life spills over to how you structure your business life as well. So if you want to be whole on both ends, personally and business-wise. So the benefits of a mentorship really on a personal level is being encouraged and empowered in personal development, right? You want your mentor to really encourage you and make you feel empowered to get to the next step. So with that, you have an increase in confidence. So when you feel encouraged and you feel empowered about the steps that you're about to take, you tend to have an increase in confidence as well to really feel like, okay, I can accomplish what I'm ready to set out to do, right? And you want a mentor that's going to be able to bring that out of you. Another benefit of mentorship is gaining insight into an industry or culture. So whether this is for personal or business, you want to gain as much insight so you'll be ahead of the game, again, ahead of your competition or any other competitors out there, whether it's, like I said, business or personal. You want to have as much insight in that industry or whatever you're setting out to do, so you can be on top of your game. The other benefits of a mentor is being helped to identify and achieve career goals. So sometimes you know where you want to go, you know the end result. And I'm a D personality. If anybody knows anything about the DISC, is that we are really about end results. We tend to be that way. And so it's okay to be focused on the end results, but you also need to identify how can you actually achieve those results. So having help from someone to say, hey, I understand this is where you're trying to go. I see your vision. So let's identify how we can actually make that happen. Other benefits are developing and maintaining a broader perspective on career options and opportunities, right? So we don't know everything. I know being a business owner, we know a lot and we tend to be experts in our field. But it's always good to get different perspectives and opinions to see broader options and opportunities. I would say I'm pretty confident in what I do, and I feel like, I can find opportunities for my company. However, I keep myself surrounded by other successful government contractors as well. And being surrounded by them, I hear about opportunities I didn't even think about. Like, man, I didn't know that was out there. We don't know it all, and keeping ourselves surrounded by someone who can open up those options and give us a broader perspective on what's out there is always very, very helpful. So, and also a benefit is developing mentoring and coaching skills yourself. It's about giving back to the community. Again, for myself, I had excellent mentors when I started out. And never in a million years would I thought would I be a mentor for somebody else, because when you're just getting started, you feel like you just don't know anything or not enough at all. But that was years ago. And like I said, I had senior advisors who were really well experienced, 20 plus years in government contracting, and really propelled me to another level. And so now it's about giving back. I understand the importance because I've had a really, really excellent mentor. And so when I see other companies out there that are very similar to me and how I was, you want to also give that same opportunity to other people. So even for yourself, if you seek out a mentor, never dismiss the fact that someone may be looking for your expertise in the future as well. Another benefit is being helped to identify and correct gaps in certain skills and knowledge. Again, as business owners, we know a lot, right? We know a lot about what we do, but there's also a lot of different gaps in our skills and our knowledge that can be filled. There's always room for growth. And sometimes we just don't, actually not sometimes, all the time, we don't know what we don't know. And so we can feel like we're doing everything right. And we can't understand why we're hitting roadblocks because we just know our craft. But sometimes it takes someone else to tell you, hey, did you take a look at this as well? So being helped to identify that really helps. And it's a huge, huge benefit of that. And having access to a role model. It's always good to have a role model, not necessarily someone to idolize, of course, but someone to look up to say, hey, you're going in a direction I want to go. I like the end results of where you're at, whether it's where you're at personally or where you're at in your career. And having access to someone that can keep you motivated to say, hey, I like that end result. Just like you write a goal on the wall and say, hey, my goal is to make this much this year. This is my revenue goals for this year. And you manifest that. It's something about seeing something and being around the right people that keep you in the right direction. So, of course, there are probably a zillion other benefits to a mentor that you can come up with personally, but those in particular are typically identified as some of the top benefits. Excuse me. So there's also benefits of mentorship in business as well, right? So I know what we just talked about can kind of go hand in hand with business and personal, but let's specifically talk about business mentorship. So some of the benefits of that are increased business knowledge and experience, right? You have access to someone who has more knowledge and more experience in something that you want to excel at. So you definitely want to tap into that and pick their brain. With that extra knowledge and experience, you can maximize your business performance. So instead of spinning your wheels trying to figure out what's wrong and how to fix things that are wrong, or trying to fix something you don't even know needs to be fixed, you can maximize your business performance simply just by having access to the knowledge or someone who is more experienced. Oops, sorry about that. So it also improves your problem solving abilities. Oh man, if I can tell you, I have a list of stories from just having access to my mentors in the past and some of the issues that they had to deal with their business. There were times I had to face that in my own, and it increased my problem solving skills, because what I probably would have initially thought to solve the problem would have taken me down a rabbit hole. But a lot of times when I'm faced with a somewhat roadblock or something that's somewhat challenging, I can revert back to say, hey, I remember when this happened to such and such, and this is what they did. And I remember this happened to another company, and this is how they got around it. Or maybe even if they didn't solve their problem, I knew the steps that they had to take, or at least which ones to avoid. So it definitely improved, problem solving skills in my personal experience, but just overall in general, just keep in mind, having access to that, other people's, in a sense, lack of a better words, other people's mistakes or your mentor's mistakes can definitely improve your own personal experience. Again, it builds confidence. So confidence in facing those challenging situations. What do I do if this happens? Or I'm not really sure what next step I should take. Well, now you have confidence because you know that if you don't know how to do it, you have access to someone who does, or they have access to someone who does. So it's all about connecting you with the right people. Some other benefits, of course, develop your leadership skills, right? So when you have a business mentor, you're looking at them as a leader and you see how they lead. And of course, this is when you pick the right mentor. That's going to be important too. So ideally, if you're with the right mentor, you're going to look at, okay, how are they leading? How are they running their company? How are they being successful? How are they building these relationships? Why does it seem like when they go into a room, people gravitate to them? So with that, you're picking up those behaviors as well. So it helps you develop your own leadership skills. And of course, in business, last but surely not least, you can widen your network of business contacts. And that is so huge. It's so huge for small businesses, and especially huge if you're just getting started. It's already hard to start an industry, especially one that you know that you're phenomenal at, but nobody knows who you are. So you're starting eons behind those who have already been in your industry or been in business longer than you. So how do you get access to those people? And how do you get access to those opportunities? Well, through mentorship, why reinvent the wheel, or why try to do things the hard way? Keep in mind, your mentor should be someone who is experienced. And with that, they should have a book of business or a network that they can connect you with to kind of get you through that door a lot quicker. So, yeah. So some of the things to look for in a mentor. What are some things that you want to look for in a mentor? It sounds really good. I know we touch base on a lot of benefits, but how do you know you have the right one? Right? There's so many people out there to say, hey, I can mentor you, or you can pick my brain, but how do you know that's the right person? So some of the things you want to look out for is someone who has a keen interest in helping people. That's extremely important. If they don't have a genuine interest in helping you, how long is that relationship going to last before they either get bored, tired, or they move on to another person? You want to make sure this mentor is going to be with you to see you through your goals and even build a friendship with you. It's really about building a long, it doesn't necessarily have to be a friendship, but a relationship, right? It can be a friendship, but you really want to build a solid relationship. So that's going to be very important to look out for. You can typically pick that up, through synergy, when you have a conversation with someone that you're thinking about being a mentee to. Another thing that you want to look for is someone with firsthand experience, knowledge, and insights in the area in which they're providing mentorship. So it's really going to be hard to have a mentor who doesn't have experience or knowledge in what you want to do. There's two different types of knowledge, right? You have textbook knowledge, which you can read and you can really be really good at understanding things and comprehending textbook. Or you can have some, and there's also knowledge of experience, people who have been out there in the field and actually been in the trenches, which is a completely different thing. You want someone who has both. You want someone who really understands the textbook, which really understand the terms, they understand the process, but you also want someone with real life experience, because with that, they can tell you what really works and what really doesn't, what rules really apply and how they're applied. So it is definitely something that you want in a mentor, someone who has that firsthand experience. You definitely want to look for someone who has relationship building and interpersonal skills. That is very crucial, because if they can't build a relationship with you and they can't build a relationship with other people, how can that help you? Right? You want, like I said, that mentor to be able to, you want to feel connected to that mentor. But you also want that mentor to be connected to other people, because that's going to allow you, excuse me, I'm talking with my words, that's going to allow you and help you to build your book of business as well. So if they don't have good interpersonal skills and they don't have good relationship building skills in business, how are they going to help you to get to the next level, right? How are they going to help you build relationships, which is crucial in business, to build relationships with either your customer. In this case, I know many of you are in government contracting or interested in it. How, if they can't build a relationship with a contracting officer, or they don't know how, or other strategic partners, that can hinder your growth. So that's something that you want to look out for as well. So with all this, the things that I had mentioned before, they deal a lot with business. Another thing that you want to look at on a more personal side is someone who's motivating, someone who's encouraging. Running a small business is hard. Running a business in general can be hard some days. We have our good days and we have our bad days, right? We have our ups and downs, ebbs and flows. And so no matter how successful you are, you're going to either hit a roadblock at some point, or you're going to hit a challenging period. That's not to say that you're failing. It's just that's the way of life, right? So how do you get through that? You want someone to not only give you the knowledge, the contacts, the network, and the guidance, but you want them to be motivating. You want them to be encouraging. You want them to inspire you. You want them to have that positive energy around you to keep you going. So, it would be really tough to have a mentoring session where it's all about business, right? Because then it's going to feel transactional. It's going to feel like that mentor doesn't care. But you want that mentor to care, that if you want a contract, you want them to say, hey, congratulations, that's awesome. We all know how much work goes into, winning a contract, writing a proposal, or even if it was a bid, it's still an accomplishment for your company. And you want that mentorship to be in tuned enough to acknowledge that, to keep you motivated to keep for the next one. So it's also important for them to help identify your goals and how to accomplish them, right? So sometimes we know we need help, but we don't always know where exactly we need the help. We just know, again, we're trying to get from point A to point B as a small business. How do I get from here to here? Or I know these are my goals, but everything just seems like they're running together. You want your mentor to be able to break that down, identify the goals, and be able to come up with a plan so you can actually accomplish them. So I would say try to avoid people who are kind of like, what would you call it? A cheerleader, right? Someone who just wants to just tell you, I understand, or I understand where you're coming from. I know this may be frustrating. Yeah, that shows empathy, but you also want someone to say, hey, I get this, but let's break this down so we really can show you how to get where you need to go, right? So you want to get past that point. All right, so the difference to have or to have not, right? So we have some pros and we have some cons. So the pros, we did talk a lot about benefits. We talked about benefits, of course, on the personal side, and we also talked about benefits with your business. But below are some more pros. And so one of those is you don't know it all, right? We don't know it all. And there's nothing wrong with not knowing it all. And, again, and this is something that tends to happen with a lot of business owners because especially starting out or your small business, you wear multiple hats and you start to feel like, hey, I know a lot that I should be able to get myself to the next level. But it's okay to admit that we don't know it all. And it's okay to say that you're stuck. And so another pro to having a mentor is that they can help you when you do get stuck. They can help you through that time where you're just scaling for the first time and you're trying to figure out how to hire the right people, how to get the right funding, whatever the case may be, whatever new milestone that your company is going through, they can help you when you get stuck and make sure that you're not making major mistakes. Being able to speak with someone without there being a conflict of interest, man, that's huge. That is very, very huge. You want to be able to talk to someone and be open about your business and your proprietary information without feeling like they're going to steal it. Someone who understands, because you may want to go to your family and vent and you're frustrated about where you're at, but they may not be able to talk to you on the level that you need and give you the guidance that you need for your business. At that point, you're just venting. It's hard to go to another business because they may be a competitor or they may not have an interest in your business succeed. We can't assume that everybody wants us to succeed. So we may go to another colleague and try to get information from them, but there could be a conflict in interest of them genuinely helping you. So you really want someone with an unbiased opinion. Again, someone that you built a relationship with or you feel comfortable building a relationship with, so you can come to them and be able to speak with them about, issues that you may be having with your business. Another pro will be you become very, cannot get my words out today. You will become more self-aware. So stumbling over my words today. So yes, you will become more self-aware. With mentorship, just like I said, understanding your goals and how to get there, you really start understanding how you make decisions. Again, it broadens your opportunities and your thought process around opportunities. You become more self-aware about those skill gaps and knowledge gaps that you may have. And it's okay. Again, we wear a lot of hats. It's okay for someone to step in and say, hey, you're making a mistake here, but this is how you can do better. And maybe not even making a mistake. Hey, I don't think you noticed that this is happening, but this is how you can do better in this area, or this is how your business can grow. So you become more self-aware about what you know and what you don't know, and when it's okay to seek advice and help. But most importantly, you do that, of course, on a more comfortable level when you're with a mentor. So what are the cons to not having mentorship? So we talked about a lot of benefits, a lot of pros. What are the cons to not doing it? Not taking that initiative to say, I want to be an expert at what I do, or I put a lot of work into my small business. How do I get it to the next level? If I don't seek a mentor at some point, these are some of the things that you can face. you would only have your own mistakes to learn from. So even though learning from mistakes are really huge, and we're always going to have our own mistakes outside of our mentor, right? We're going to make decisions where we're like, man, I wish I didn't do that, but we learn from it and we grow from that. But the good thing is with a mentor, you don't just have your mistakes to learn from, you have their mistakes that they've made in the past so you can avoid those same mistakes. You have whoever they worked with or their network connection, and they can tell you stories about those mistakes. And you can say, hey, either I'm not alone in some of the things that I've done. And I've seen people do that. They sulk in their misery because they made such a huge mistake and it cost them financially. It cost them a lot financially. And they have a hard time getting over it because they feel like they're the only one that's going through it. But when you have a mentor, you have somebody else to go to and you realize, hey, I'm not the only one that went through this, but this is how they overcame it. So this is how I will overcome it as well. So you don't always have to learn from your own mistakes. You can also learn from other people's mistakes as well. So people are more likely to ignore unsolicited inquiries. So what does that mean? Ignore unsolicited inquiries. Well, again, touching base on what I talked about before. If you're new, you have this great idea or this great product, but nobody knows about you yet. And you're just sending out these blind emails and you're posting on social media, but still it's taking so long to gain that traction because you're trying to gain a presence, excuse me. So people are most likely going to ignore those who they don't know. But when you attach yourself to someone who's already well known or attach yourself to a brand that's already known and has a following, it can definitely help you and propel your company. I'm gonna be honest, I still do that to this day. If I'm doing a social media post or if there's something that I really want to promote, I have colleagues and I stay connected with people who are way more successful than me. You know, one of the things that I've learned, and I'm sure you probably heard of that too, you don't want to be the smartest one in the room all the time. If anything, I'm okay with being the dumbest person in the room sometimes, depending on the situation, because I want people to take me to the next level. And I always want to push myself. So I have colleagues who do way better than me, right? And I stay connected with them and they may have a bigger brand than I do or a larger following and say, hey, can we do a Facebook Live or an Instagram Live together so I can really promote this product? Because you know, you obviously have a bigger following. Now, if I was to do it, and depending on whatever I'm promoting at the time, I probably won't get as many followings or people really don't know who I am. But if they know this brand and I get on go on a Facebook or IG Live with them, and all of a sudden it goes from, oh, my little 20 followers to like 100 followers, it's well worth it, right? So, but if you're not connected with those people, then you don't have the opportunity, and you know, gaining traction can be a lot harder. Again, you are the sum of the people you associate yourself with the most. And so I kind of touched bases on that already. I like to be around people who are either where I'm at in life and in my career, or who are doing way better than I am. Right? Because that's where I want to go. I want to keep going forward and excelling. And so you are the sum of the people you're around. And, you know, with that being said, being with the right group, people, mentor included, you know, their social group, their network, you now become a part of a more knowledgeable and experienced group of people that are going to get you to where you need to go. Your competitors will be quicker. So that is another con. If you are trying to figure everything out yourself, but your competitor either has already been in the industry way longer than you, or they are getting guidance from somebody else, they're going to reach there quicker than you are. And you're going to wonder why your competitors are skyrocketing and how are they winning all these contracts and how did their revenue just skyrocket and I'm still stuck here? Well, if you're trying to figure out all those hard roadblocks by yourself, if you're still trying to Google the answers, which we all know in government contracting, we never really get what we need through Google all the time, or some of these resources, we still have to piece the information together to really get to where we want to go. So if you're ever wondering, why are my competitors excelling so much more than I am? sometimes they may have someone who's guiding them, to get them to that next level, to help them with new strategies. They're not trying to do everything themselves. You can also waste, of course, a lot of time and money on tools and resources. I kind of just touched bases on that as well. You can waste a lot of time trying to get information from different places and resources and piece it together to develop your own strategy or to understand what you're trying to accomplish. With that, you can also waste a lot of money. I can't even tell you how many times I've had clients in the past who've wasted $5,000, sometimes $10,000 going down the wrong road with the wrong consultant because they didn't even know what they needed. They didn't have the right person to guide them and tell them, all you need to do is go here and it's free. You didn't have to spend $5,000 or $6,000, like I said, upwards to $10,000 on something that you could have gotten for free because you didn't have the right person guiding you. So sometimes you can also waste a lot of money as well. Your opportunities can be smaller and definitely a lot slower. I mentioned that as well to gain that traction, and your opportunities can be smaller. Just getting started, we'll go back to that example. You only know what you know, but when you have access to someone who can open up more opportunities for you, your opportunities can be larger because they can connect you with other companies that you can create partnerships with and give you access to larger opportunities, opposed to you, or not you per se, but opposed to a contractor who is looking at smaller contracting opportunities because they feel like that's all they can do, right? They don't have the relationships to go after the multi-million-dollar contracts and be a sub and potentially get a multi-million-dollar subcontracting contract with a larger company. If you don't have access to that, you would think, hey, I have to start small. I have to start with these smaller $50,000 or $150,000 contracts because that's all I can do. So your traction can be slower if you don't have access to someone who can open those opportunities up for you. And of course, you may quit. Unfortunately, I have seen that many, many times that, running a small business, especially government contracting, it can become so difficult sometimes if you don't really know how to get over these hurdles that you ultimately end up quitting. And we don't want to see that. We don't want to see people who have so much potential eventually quit only because they didn't give themselves the opportunity to have access to the right knowledge to get to where they need to go. So we definitely don't want that to happen. So that really pretty much concludes most of what I wanted to say. These are some testimonials just from clients that we've had at ESS. They've had some really great success. We have way more, of course, that we couldn't add into this particular presentation. However, there's plenty of companies that were able to use our strategies that we've used on startups and multi-million-dollar firms. And help them grow. So instead of them trying to reinvent the wheel, we would give them proposal writing strategies, business development strategies, access to our resources. Again, we are now an international company. I'm so excited about that because that was a goal of ours this year in January. And by June, we had our first contract in Johannesburg. And so even with that, I've had companies who came to me and say, hey, how did you do it? Well, now they have access to the grants that we use, the contacts that we currently have. They have access to who we currently have contracts with, you name it. So, it's really helped propel a lot of these companies to get to where they need to go. So, but if you have any other questions, definitely you can reach out to Mark or you can reach out to me. And of course, I want to give you my contact information. That is our website, essacademy.net. And if you ever want to call, you can just give me a call or you can send us an email if you have any questions about the presentation today. So that pretty much concludes that. So, but yes, definitely, if anyone has any questions, I'm open to answer any questions that you may have.
Well, thank you, Danielle. So we'll open up the room to questions. You can also put your question in the chat box, and I'll read some of those out because they have been. And, a couple of comments on what I heard you say. The first one is, I actually had a strong mentor when I started too, and I can personally, I think I can point to about 100 different contracts over my history that they helped me with. And so I think I don't know how I could have done it without a mentor. And one of the things you pointed out too is about how people can quit too early. There's so many companies that call us, and then in month 3 they're already left, or they decided to quit. I don't know what you kind of expect coming into government contracting. It's not something that you just overnight success with. It's not, it just doesn't work that way. So it does take building relationships, and you have to have a staying power, and you have to have a commitment, and that pays off, I think, at the end of the day. And then your comment too earlier said about what, you really don't know what you don't know, as opposed to, I think you said the more positive way, you really know what you know. But I learned early on, I don't know what I don't know. And then you find yourself stumbling around, and you didn't realize what happened to you because you didn't have that mentor guiding you away. And I can actually point to a couple of contracts that my mentor pushed me away from and said, this is not for you. He's going to bob, you'll basically the weight will be so heavy on you that this is going to hurt you. And so that there's a benefit of that too. So one of the questions that I see here at the end of Betty asked is, how do you find that certain person for mentoring, and does it cost to get a mentor?
That's a really good question. There's a lot of different places where you can find a mentor. I know we do provide mentorship for government contractors. Like I said, we work with numerous of companies, whether you're in a startup phase, or we worked with companies who literally had multi-million-dollar revenues, and we helped them grow multi-million-dollar revenue just with government contracts alone. So we do offer mentorship. Most of the time, well, it depends on the type of relationship. You can already have a personal relationship with someone where it may not cost any money for that. If it's just someone that you know personally, they're already in that industry and they're already successful, that's great. Unfortunately, most of us don't have someone that we're already close to or already have an existing relationship in the field that we're in. That's going to help us get that unbiased opinion to get us to the next level. So a lot of times, if you don't already have that established, it does typically cost, and the cost can range depending on how long you want to be with the mentor or what type of programs that they have in place. But certainly if you are looking for a mentor in government contracting, we do have access to mentors for you.
Just to add to that too, in my own personal experience, it's not necessarily that I wrote a check to someone, but I invested in that individual over time, and there's a cost to that too. So even if it's somebody you know or you work with, investing with that individual and being part of that individual's success as well, that's a cost. So I think this, anytime you're in a business transaction, it's to be expected, and to bring, that's just a part of the true cost of doing business.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Mark. Yeah, there is a cost, whether it's monetary or just giving back to the relationship.
How about more questions? Anybody have a specific question for Danielle?
Let's see. How are they going to help get you to the next level? Oh, is that what, I think that was your question.
Well, I've actually repeated what's something that you said. It's a question.
Oh, okay.
You said, how does somebody help you when you're looking to hire a mentor? Are you working with a mentor? You don't want to, I think it's important that you understand what you're getting in terms of what is their strategy to help you get to that next level. Yeah. And I think that's what you said to them as well. I think that's one of the questions that anyone should ask when they're going into that relationship. And I like the way you call it relationship as well. I think it's a give take all the way across. So here we are at the 45-minute mark. I told you it was going to be an excellent presentation, and you should stand with us, and everybody did. We had a great crowd here, and people sent me private messages as they logged off and said they wanted to make sure they got a copy of this. session, and anybody who clicked through will get a copy. So it'll be automatic. It does take a little bit of time for it to convert itself to that format. It's one of those things I don't know. I don't know how it works. It just works. And so I'll send you that link whenever they send it to me. How about that? But we thank you again. I encourage you to reach out to Danielle, and your website there is in the chat box. If you didn't get that, you reach out to me and we'll send it to you. But the link that we sent you today on her image, if you just click on her image, it also will take you to her direct contact information. So thanks again and have a great day.
Bye, everyone. Nice meeting everyone virtually.